Well, hello everyone. This is Donnie and Jennifer from Country Homestead Preacher. I want to go through 6 things that we looked for when buying our land, and these were very important to us. Number one, check for sex offenders. Your real estate agent will not tell you if one lives in proximity to where you're buying. Number two is water sources. Is there a lake, stream, or pond? Number three is restrictions. Is there any county, city, state restrictions on your land? Number four is location. Are you looking in the city, rural? Number five is power or solar. Does it have power on it? Does it have the ability to get solar? And then number six is easements. Are there any hidden easements that's on your land that would cause you or could cause you problems within the very near future? You will want to look for these, and your real estate agent can help you point it out. Now, while we're going through this video, I'm just going to go through and tell you what it cost us up to date on our homestead. The cost of land on average in our country is about $3,800. Now, that's going to change depending on what area of the country you're in. It could go from $2,500 all the way up to $10,000. Now, I will tell you, based on our experience, land per acre is cheaper the more land that you're buying. For instance, if I'm trying to buy 5 acres, that land will probably be more expensive than if I was buying 50 acres. Now, the cost of land changes so rapidly throughout the country, and it's ever changing. So check your local listings to find out the best resources available for you to be able to buy your land. And another resource you may want to look into is county tax sales. Okay, so you're looking at land, you want to pay special attention to accessing your land. How is the infrastructure? How are the roads? Are they gravel roads? Are they dirt roads? Are they roads out in the middle of the field? Here on our homestead, we had an old gravel road that was in very bad condition. It cost us $2,400 to get gravel and dirt, and I did the labor myself in order to smooth all that out. I know a lot of people think they can just move on some land, pop my house up, and everything's going to be fine, but you'll need some sort of material to be able to drive on in the rain, in the snow. So it's very important that you consider gravel, dirt, or pavement improvements when you're looking for your homestead. Again, we spent $2,400 on gravel, just simply the material. That was with us spreading it. Now, the next thing is what I call lifelines. And lifelines are water, power, and solar. Here on our homestead, one of the requirements was for us to have a secondary water source. We have a 2-acre pond as well as a runoff creek, but we don't have a well, so we had to tie in to the municipal water supply for the county. That cost, with the pipe that I ran myself, about $750. To get the power in place where we needed it with our electrician and the parts in order to have the permanent house setting was $1,299. Now, a lot of people go solar. We're going to use solar backup one day. We have not built that system. But these 2 things you must prepare for. How you're going to get water, how much is it going to cost, how are you going to get power, or are you going to be off grid? These are very important things to prepare for. And if you do the labor, you're going to save the money, but you may not can do pipe. Things to consider. Temporary housing. You got to have a place to live. If you're like us, we sold our home, so we had to have somewhere to live on the homestead. We decided to go the RV route. We found a cheaper RV that suited our needs, and we paid $8,500. Now, you're going to have somewhere to live, whether it's going to be a tent, a storage building, an RV. Maybe there's a shelter already. Maybe you get fortunate there's a house already. But plan for a temporary housing and figure out the cost. The RV is good short term. Long term, it's not so good. But short term, it will work for you in order to work on your land. And this was a mid-range. They get much higher than this, but $8,500 is what we paid for our temporary housing. And because we lived in an RV, that led to another problem, which was daily food storage. An RV refrigerator and cabinets are rather small. We had an old shed on our homestead that we were able to convert and put a refrigerator and a deep freeze in it, and that cost us about $360. If you're buying raw land and going to have to live in a cabin or an RV of some fashion, plan on where you're putting your daily staples. Where's your food going to be? If you've got children, we've got 3 children still at home, an RV refrigerator is not going to touch all the food that you need to have. So that's something you want to consider. Where are you going to put your daily food staples? Also, remember pests, mice, rodents, so forth. Prepare for all that stuff, because these are things that we had to think about that I want you to be able to think about as well. Now, not only did we have to have a home, our animals had to have a home. And so we had to consider temporary animal housing. We have goats, sheep, and chickens, and they had to have a place to live also. You may buy a homestead that's got fully across fenced and fenced places with a nice barn, or you may buy a place that's just a piece of raw land. And ours was a piece of raw land with one old dilapidated building. So we spent $1,100 to put in fencing. Now, this is just Jennifer and I putting it in ourselves, doing our own labor. This is just cost of materials. This is for animal fencing and also to revamp an old corral that was on this shed for our chicken coop. And that was about $1,100, because they have to have a place to live as well. Because you're still doing life, you're just doing it on a new place. Storage. Now, Jennifer and I sold our 3,400 square foot house, and we had tons of stuff. We got rid of as much stuff as we could, but we still had to get 2 storage buildings, or 2 storage areas to store stuff. And the reason is, if you sell all your furniture now, you're going to have to buy furniture again. So we stored our furniture so that we don't have to buy it again. This storage bill was $1,080 for 6 months, and that's for 2 buildings. You need to think, where are you going to be able to store your stuff? You're not going to be able to put it in the tarp outside. You're going to get mold and mildew. You're not going to be able to put it in tubs under a tarp outside, because you're going to get mold and mildew. So get you a plan down before you move, and you'll be able to store your stuff efficiently. Now, so far, the short-term temporary cost of us just getting on the property, just living on the property in a temporary fashion comes to $15,489. I'm going to tell you, folks, we nowhere thought that we would be at $15,489. Let me give you a piece of advice. There's many others that know a lot more about this stuff than I do, but go 5% above your budget. Go 5% above what you anticipate spending. I had it in my mind, I think Jennifer and I was throwing a number out of like we'd spend $10,000. Well, we hit that $10,000 way back. So short-term cost, $15,489. So let's roll in to the permanent cost altogether. We decided, as you can see from this picture, to go the route of a manufactured home. I'm not going to tell you the cost of the home. We paid cash for it. But to move the home on the property with the dirt pad was $6,000 and $2,200. Now, you may do a stick-built home. You may do a yurt. You may do something else. But for us, we went with a manufactured home, $6,000 and $2,200. And there's a lot of expense that I may have not listed for incidentals, and we'll talk about those on the end. But going into our permanent costs, these are things that we transition from temporary on into permanent living. This is how it's going to be. So $6,000 and $2,200. That is what it cost us to get our home moved just here. Now, the next category, with moving a home here, or if you build a home, you got to have a septic system. Unless you do your own, our septic system, and Jennifer and I, we ran our 3-inch pipe under the home ourselves. For just the septic system, for them to come out and bring a brand new septic tank in Alabama was $4,400. $4,400. And that again is us doing the work ourselves, except for putting the tank in the ground. He stubbed us a pipe out. We tied our pipe that we had run under the manufactured home into the septic system. So $4,400 for that. And these are costs that I didn't think about initially, but of course we had to pay because this is going to be our permanent structure. This is our home. This is where we live. Well, in addition to the septic system, we had to also deal with the utilities. Of course, we're in Alabama. It's 1,000 degrees in the summertime, so we want AC. To get our AC picked up and moved here and rehooked up was about $450. So that was just one of those costs that come associated with us moving the home in, about $450. And depending on who you use and what time of year, that fee may waver. It could go from, I got quotes all the way from this quote of $450 all the way up to $800 and $900. So some of that stuff can be adjusted depending on what area you live in. Now, we did some of the work. We actually hooked the intakes in the manufactured home ourselves, and then he came out and brought the unit, tied it in actually to the unit. $450 for the AC unit. Well, we still got our animals way up the hill in the temporary structure, so now we move to permanent animal enclosures. Now, this is the chicken coop that Jennifer and I built, and so for the chicken coop, for the new fencing, for the post, us doing all the labor was $1,237 and still counting, because you know with animal cost you're always adding cost. We had to give them a permanent structure. We moved them down the hill because as we are planning our homestead, we're wanting to plan things out that's going to work for us. We don't want to have to go extended length of to get somewhere in order to feed our animals. We want them in proximity, so we had to do permanent structures. $1,237. So what's the grand total here? The grand total of our adventure thus far is a whopping $29,776, not counting the land and the house. And I've got, I'm going to just speak a few things to you of some things that you want to think about as you're getting your homestead. Number one, I would recommend if you're buying a homestead, try to find a homestead that has existing structures and infrastructure. Is there a house? Can you find one with a house? Can you find one with existing utilities? Can you find one with fence and cross fenced already? Number two, when you're planning your homestead, plan 5% higher. It's never going to cost what you think it's going to cost. Now, Brother Don is going to give you some advice here. Don't sit and watch all the people on YouTube and be disappointed when that don't happen tomorrow. If you're going to have a homestead, in addition to the cost, it's going to take you working your backside off. Unless you've got the money to pay somebody to do everything, you're going to have to do it yourself. Take your time, be patient, learn the best that you can learn. Now, I hear people talking about follow your dreams and all this. Listen, a dream is useless if you can't fulfill it. You should be able to fulfill your dreams, and by doing so, you're able to live a good life, have a good homestead. But I wanted to give you this video as a realistic expectation of what you can expect to spend, because this is what Jennifer and I spent in 6 months, $29,776. I appreciate you watching this video. If I can be of any assistance, please let me know. We're hoping to put some more homestead videos out soon, but reach out to me on email. Thanks for watching, and God's blessings on all that you endeavor to do in your homestead.